Hey guys, Scott here with some pretty exciting news. I finally finished working on my new game. This one's actually more of a real game than the last one I made, which is sort of like a test to see if I can, figure out how to put something on Steam in general. But it's like an actual video game. And it is kind of like a 2D Resident Evil inspired game called Just a Little Longer. So again, very heavily Resident Evil vibes with like horror and roaming enemies, ammo scarcity. You have to choose what enemies you want to actually shoot. Kind of more like Resident Evil 2 than the later ones, where they just pepper you with bullets. It's got like an interconnected like hub area where shortcuts lead back onto each other. It's got puzzles. I mean, it's just very, very similar to Resident Evil vibes. There is a twist, though, that makes it hopefully pretty unique. So at any point during the game, which takes place in the main character's mind, it's basically recurring nightmares. You go to bed at the start of the game and you keep having recurring nightmares. So at any point during the nightmare that you're in, if you die, it's not really dying, but if your health gets to 0, your save file is instantly deleted. There's no cheesing it. Your just save file is gone completely. So I wanted to do that because it kind of like mimics, if you ever wake up from having a dream and then you just go about your day, you forget the dream really quickly. So that's sort of like the similar vibes there. That would be what happened. You just forget the dream and then that's it. So if you die, then that's that. Your save file is gone. All your progress is completely lost. Now, obviously, that would be frustrating as shit for a first playthrough if you lose hours of work every time you just screw up one time. So, at any point during the match, my God, I'm DBD coded, you can choose to wake up. So if you choose the wake up option, you'll basically be reset back to the start of the entire game, but there will be a bunch of differences. Whenever you go back to sleep, you'll the enemies in the world become stronger, but you retain a lot of stuff. I kind of wanted it to be like an allusion to I don't know if this happens to you guys, but if I ever wake up from having a dream and I immediately go back to sleep, very often I go back into that dream I was just in. So it's kind of like going for those vibes, gameplay to story wise there. But what you get saved is like shortcuts, anything in your inventory, any guns you've unlocked, any upgrades you've unlocked, any upgrades for your character, or your guns themselves. All that stuff is unlocked. So if you get to the next like shortcut, for example, you can, instead of having to, go through the first 30 minutes of the game, you can just take a different door and skip the first 30 minutes and go right there. So it's kind of like, it's got like Dark Souls-esque shortcuts where, can't be opened from this side type stuff. And once you do that, you can skip the first, 30 minutes of the game. So you're not like really losing all of your progress, but you do get set back a bit. Enemies become stronger, but you also come back stronger as well. So the whole point of the title of the game and the whole real like drive of the whole system is you have to take like a gamble. If you are running low on health, you're not looking so hot, and you haven't made it to like the next boss or whatever, you can just choose to wake up and play it safe. Or if you feel like you're about to get to that next shortcut, you just feel it because they're pretty evenly spaced out, then you can choose to decide to stay in the nightmare and just a little longer, which is, the title of the game, and try to risk getting to that point, but you risk permanently dying. So that's the trade-off. I really wanted to see what players would do if they were given the freedom of permadeath, basically entirely controlled by them. Because at any point, if you're about to die, you can just immediately wake up, you become invincible. The second that happens, you immediately get iframes. So it's basically how much the player wants to risk continuing to progress in relation to how well they're doing with health. And I just wanted to see what people would do with that. So definitely way more of an actual game. It's a shooter. There's like a bestiary every time you encounter a new enemy. When you wake up, you can go to your computer in the real world and you'll remember something about the enemy you just fought. So if you struggle with something, you can wake up and then research it and figure that stuff out. So there's a bunch of little stuff like that. It's got a pretty cool overarching story that I'm hoping people will enjoy. And I definitely put a lot more effort into making this one like an actual game with gameplay rather than just like, a quirky, just standard RPG maker, talk to people and do puzzles type thing. This one's more an actual game. It is open for wish list now. The Steam page just became live, and it's going to be like $7 on release, so it's not going to really break your bank or anything. And I probably put it on sale a week or two later or something like that. So, I think this one's pretty cool. Again, it's not gonna win Game of the Year or anything like that. I made this for about $150. I actually spent a little money on this one compared to the last one. I had to hire some artists and stuff. That is it. I've been working on this for a decent amount of time, and if this sounds up your alley, give it a check out. That's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.